Welcome to Daily Saints with Grace. Fast and faithful stories told with clarity and heart. On November 18th, the Church remembered not only two apostles, but the houses raised above their names. Rome had breathed through two tombs, Peter and Paul, and the city set basilicas over the ground that held them. The day was called the dedication of the Basilicas of Saints Peter and Paul, and it turned memory into architecture. Two stones, one city, a story you could walk. The first great churches rose when the empire still spoke in marble. Pilgrims had already stood near the apostles' resting places. Constantine simply gave those prayers a roof. Over Peter's grave, a broad hall lifted its beams. Over Paul's beyond the walls, columns caught the Roman light. People did not hurry there for spectacle. They went to stand near courage that had changed the world. And the habit of going became part of the faith itself. Time pressed hard on the old St. Peter's. Roofs sagged. Walls leaned. Priests avoided certain altars, afraid the building would answer their prayers by collapsing. Then a new plan took hold. Bramante sketched, Raphael refined, Michelangelo crowned the hill with a dome, and Maderno drew the nave to the square Bernini would embrace. After a century of dust and labor, the Basilica was consecrated in 1626, a house that would not flinch above Peter's rest. While one church reached its crescendo, the other faced a night of flame. St. Paul outside the walls survived thieves and centuries, then met its hardest hour in 1823. Fire moved through the aisles like a verdict and left ruin by morning. Rome began again, keeping the ancient plan, raising columns, gathering gifts from far places. By 1854, as Pius IX spoke of Mary's Immaculate Conception, the rebuilt basilica opened its long nave to the faithful. Wonder was measured in footsteps, row after row, farther than a field. Pilgrims chased shelter from sun and rain. It said a roofed colonnade once linked the two basilicas, guiding the river of travelers from Peter to Paul. Whether that walkway truly stretched the whole distance is hard to prove. The claim survives more in retellings than in visible stone. But the habit behind the story never needed a blueprint. Rome taught people to move between thresholds, keys to letters, fisherman to theologian, until the faith lived in their legs. The thresholds would become more than destinations. They would become obligations. Every few years, bishops arrived ad limina apostolorum to the thresholds of the apostles. They prayed at the tombs and reported to Peter's successor about their people, their wounds, their hopes. The rhythm reached back through centuries. By 1909, Pius X set a 5-year cadence to keep the conversation faithful and frank. These visits were not ceremony. They were a discipline, turning the face toward home to say what had gone well, what had gone wrong, and what needed courage. The tombs did not answer aloud. They asked a question. Have you carried the weight we carried? Cathedrals were called sermons in limestone, and these basilicas preached without sound. St. Peter's lifted a dome like a world turning to heaven and wrapped the square in Bernini's arms. St. Paul's answered with a 5-aisled forest, an atrium of calm, and a facade that held the sunset. Gold where glory needed sight, marble where endurance needed touch, bronze where weight had to hold. Tourists came for beauty. Pilgrims came for fidelity. Both left different than they arrived. The oldest stories placed Peter under the high altar and Paul along the Ostian road. The houses burned and rose, cracked and were mended. The reason for them never changed. This was where witnesses were laid down, where priests promised, couples vowed, and bishops, tired from long flights, remembered why they were sent. Memory is not a museum if you can still make a promise inside it. These basilicas held the church the way Rome once held two men who would not run. Peter and Paul had not agreed on everything. That was part of their gift. The feast of their basilicas asked the same balance of us. Obedience and argument, tradition rebuilt after fire, trust tested in the open. A home is not just a roof. It is a place where promises are kept. If this story steadied you, comment at the thresholds, and name one place that renewed your faith. Like the video so others find it. Subscribe to Daily Saints with Grace for faithful stories told with heart. Share this with someone planning a pilgrimage. And if you ever reach Rome, try the old path. Begin at Peter's, end at Paul's, and let the walk become your prayer.